Review. There you go. Well, enough yapping about the man. Let's give him a listen. Hey, Will.
Hey, guys. Will Durst here with a wee bit of investigative reportage for you. During the Trump Care meltdown, we learned about a couple of obscure Republican congressional caucuses instrumental in torpedoing the American Health Care Act, but from opposite sides of the political spectrum. The Freedom Caucus, whose members were formerly teabaggers but changed their name to interact with civilized people, referring, of course, to those brave unsung heroes of politics essential to protecting the interests of ordinary Americans, congressional staffers. On the other side was the Tuesday group, moderate Republicans, which were known in the 60s as the Wednesday group. Seriously, you gotta wonder if there's a second Thursday in months that don't have an R in them group, because if so, they haven't been much of a factor lately. We citizens don't realize all the special interest caucuses running around out there that we've never heard of, plotting and lobbying and exerting influence and stiffing caterers all over the greater D.C. area. There's the Congressional Cannabis Caucus that probably meets on the first Friday of every month at 4:20. You saw that coming. The Friends of Kazakhstan Caucus, or was it Friends of Leni Kazan Caucus? Don't know if the Brotherhood of Liver Transplant Recipients, the Third Wives Elimination Group, Tiny Testicles Caucus, Fried Bananas and Peanut Butter Sandwiches Caucus, or the We Floss with Domestic Licorice Group exist, but they should. Undoubtedly, there's a Beelzebub Friendship Society and Flunky and Bootlicker Support Group, but surely they operate under different names. The Congressional Values Action Team does exist, but hasn't spread its sphere of influence very wide thus far. Everyone belongs to the Mirror Appreciation Society, and while the vast majority of caucuses are, just excuses to drink with friends in private, the most useless and ineffectual group that occasionally meets but accomplishes absolutely nothing is a group we know as the Democrats. For Let's Be Treasonable, I'm Will Durst.
Thank you very much, Will. That was beautiful as always. So speaking of the different interest groups in Congress, we got ourselves a new set of rules in the Senate this week, and unfortunately, we also got ourselves a new Supreme Court justice.
Gorsuch.
Gorsuch, a shame.
Gorsuch, an asshole.
So let's talk a little bit about our newest Supreme Court justice. Probably one of the biggest issues that he's known for, that he of course refused to speak about during his approval hearings, was the Hobby Lobby victory, saying that companies have the religious freedom to discriminate against their employees who don't share the same religious beliefs as they do. That was him.
Oh, this subject already makes me want to cry for some reason. Like, I feel so much despair around this, the stolen Supreme Court seat and this guy. This is where it all runs off the map for me, where it's just so wrong. I'm like every Democrat. I know. I'm just speaking for the people here. Uh-huh. But it's terrible. Of course he's the fucking Hobby Lobby guy. It all comes full circle.
Well, I heard Mitch McConnell say that basically denying the Supreme Court nomination to Obama is one of the things he's most proud of.
Oh, sure.
And if it was something, but at the time he claimed, well, this is just normal. The president shouldn't get to decide. We should, because we have an election coming up. And it's like, if he was just doing what was right, and even though, of course, it goes against the Constitution, he wouldn't be proud of it. It'd just be something he did. He's proud of it because it was a strategy thing to deny the rightful nomination by the president. And for that, I do hope to someday be able to tell Mitch McConnell to his face to go fuck himself. What a disgusting pile of flesh.
He's the worst. Of all of them, and I'm putting Trump, I'm putting Paul Ryan into the basket, but he's the worst of them all.
Really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at a guy who and what is he famous for? He's famous
Not
for
having a chin.
well, he's famous for letting people know, I am going to make sure this man fails.
Yeah.
I want
And
this
he's
guy
the
to
one.
fail.
He broke it. He broke the government. It's, Trump is the outcome, but I mean, he was the one who got that ball rolling,
Right.
by being
The Congress of No.
an oppositional.
Yeah, the Congress of No. He didn't care what percentage of the people liked him. We cannot allow this man to do, live, whatever we can do.
He doesn't care what percentage of the thing that he was leading the Congress to vote against that he agreed with. Like, it doesn't even matter. I mean, and this brings us back, of course, to hypocrisy, where, the only thing that mattered was that this was a Democrat and a black man who was making these. That was it. That was the whole premise for him to destroy democracy, as we've known.
Well, I mean, for them to say that, they stated that Obama divided the country. Now, he's the one.
He was a uniter, in fact.
Well, but what it did, it made people pay attention that if race is not an issue in our society, okay, all you did was we made it a big thing. Hey, we voted for a black guy. Okay, well now we got to make sure that he doesn't do well. So you decided to make the country suffer, and then you're going to send this message to the idiots who are going to buy into that.
Yeah.
Oh, we need a guy like Trump. Look what Obama did to us. Well, not to say, you didn't say Obama tried to follow the rules. Yes, he did a lot of things where he had to go in and do it on his own. But if he didn't take some of these things and do it on his own, I mean, it probably wouldn't got passed. They wanted to make sure that this guy couldn't do anything. He says, hey, how about infrastructure? No infrastructure for you.
No.
Well, how about medical? No medical for you. I mean, and the reason why they pushed Obamacare through the way they did, because they knew yes, it was political, we had to do something, and once we got it in, then you're going to have to find a way to fix it.
That was
You fix it. And so if you yank this away, your people are going to suffer. People who are Republicans. So now because 24 million people would have lost, and you saw they had what did we say, 7-8 years to change Obamacare?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they couldn't do it. They
also,
still
the
had
only
problems.
way they got it through is they used the Mitt Romney plan.
Yeah.
So, that really, if this had been Obama's Democratic engineered plan, it would have been a single payer deal.
Right.
But
which they're talking about right now.
Now everybody's like talking about single payer.
Right.
Like,
But I think the question is, we can sit here and blame Republicans all day long, but how much of the blame falls on ignorant voters who believe the hype without looking into the actual claims of the Republicans? There are so many people I know, and I see this on social media all the time, who are soaking in the Schadenfreude of
Trump voters,
Yeah,
the regretful
yeah.
Trump voter. Yeah.
And that's nice for 5 seconds, but the bottom line is we're still fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I think a lot
it's
of them
nice to
rejected a
see
lot
that
of things
they're as
because they don't
miserable as
understand
they made. Right. So what do we? I mean, obviously we do this show
Right.
in hopes of attracting people to see the light, as it were. But what can we do as Americans to stop enjoying the misery that people have created for all of us?
Right.
Stop pointing the finger at them and say, okay, you fucked up. But how do we move forward?
You know what?
from here?
I think that people should be able to enjoy their Schadenfreude if that's what they want to do. There is so little to go on these days, to keep our hopes buoyed, that if we need to feel a little delight at the misery of others, just do it. Have your moment. But basically, I think the answer to your question, the only thing that we can possibly do is to fucking vote. It all comes down to that. It all comes down to voting. And, this last local election went by. I went to vote. Nobody was at the polls. What was it, like 17% or something, or some ridiculous 12% of Los Angeles voted. So all those people who were out at the Women's March, and I'm sure you guys have made much hay of this in previous episodes, but, all those people showed up for the fucking Women's March, and nobody showed up to, Inca dot their ballot,
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Meanwhile, a couple miles east of where we're at, there was an election on Tuesday.
Yep.
And there was the opportunity to push the party towards Bernie Sanders. And I knocked on doors last Saturday for one of those candidates. His name's Arturo Carmona. Mm-hmm. There were 3 pro-Bernie candidates. And in an area that went for Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton in the primaries. And the second place Democrat got more votes than the 3 Bernie Democrats did combined.
Why is that?
I don't know.
So
I think
at what point do we have to go all mean girls on this and tell the left wing of the left wing, you're not going to make Bernie happen. Stop trying to make Bernie happen.
Yeah, I think it indicates that he's not, that the ideas aren't as prevalent as people think they are. That Debbie Wasserman Schultz did not suppress the vote on Tuesday. And of course, anyway, I found out the day of the election that there was a lot of stuff against my particular candidate, but there were 2 others you could have voted for. And,
we hold out the sort of the millennials as the great hope for the future, but I don't see those kids showing up at the polls either.
No, they like to whine about it, though.
They post crazy. Yeah. They're posting up all over, but they're not.
I think they're showing up probably at the same level as other generations at that same age.
You know what? I got to say, just from my own tiny sample group, that I've voted in every election since I turned 18, and I have 2 children over the age of 18. I have a brand new minted voter in my house, and she did not go and vote. And I had to shame her later, and I did. And she said she'll vote in the next one. But she just was too disengaged and too busy with her own bullshit to do it.
I'm against child abuse, but you can slap her for me.
This distraction.
That we're on pod. Our listeners can't see what you're holding up.
Tymon is holding up an iPhone.
Yes.
For you guys.
Radio of the mind.
Yeah. That we have so many distractions in our society. How could they focus on anything else? What do you have to focus on? I mean, they don't even want. We talk about you were writing your book, Erika, and everything. How many people sit there, hey man, what are you doing? I'm reading a book. People don't even read anymore. They don't. Yeah. They're not engaged in in society. They care about their cell phone. I mean, you have people who are Snapchatting. Shit at the bottom of a toilet. They think that it's important. I mean, you got people doing stuff that's not on their mind. They don't want to focus on that. Yeah. I have a guy at my job that I work with. He bought his 16-year-old son a $40,000 car. I said, and you want me to give you praise for that?
Yeah.
6 years ago, he was 10.
Yeah.
What does he know? Why would you do that? Yeah. Why would you put this kid? He's a kid, and you're putting him on the road in a $40,000 car. How have you screwed him up? And you expect him to vote? That kid's going to vote in 2 years? No, he's not.
Well, but now we have these. I don't know. For me, my smartphone keeps telling me to vote because if I'm following on Twitter, people I know on Facebook, they're reminding me continually. That's why the Women's March, I think, had so many people, is because you knew that it was happening. It wasn't just like, I read about this thing. No, it's like, here's friends of mine that are definitely going, and
I will give the women credit though. They did get on their daughters, and they were out there marching. Women took their children out there, and they had their daughters.
Thanks, Tymon.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it was they went out there and they said, "Hey, you know what? You want money? You want to do this? You're going to have to come on out. Get out here." And they went, and I saw. I mean, what is that? That thing on Washington? That was massive. That was a massive march. As a matter of fact, different cities were.
5 million people overall, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there was something about the march that is accessible and appealing to people in a way that voting is not. Because here's the basic problem, especially on the local level. I mean, it's one thing to vote for a president where we've all been just soaking in information about the candidates. But on the local election level, it's an entirely different story. Many are offices, you're not sure what they are. Right. It's, judgeships. It's, you know,
Right.
names you've never heard of, people who are not in the mainstream, city council members. I mean, and I live in West Hollywood and we have our own elections, and, you know, I went out to that and I looked down the list and I was sort of a little iffy on some of I didn't really know